So, I think it was January 5th of 2021, if I'm not mistaken. Donald Trump had been working all of his little angles to try to get the 2020 election overturned. And he'd been working really hard on Mike Pence to get Mike Pence to go along with him. Mike Pence hadn't said anything publicly, but privately, Mike Pence was like, no, I'm not going to do it. The vice president doesn't have the power to just fucking appoint you as president of the United States. That's not a thing. That doesn't exist. And so I think it was on January 5th that Donald Trump just put out a tweet that said Mike Pence is in agreement with me that he has the power to overturn the 2020 election results and send it back to the states, and he has agreed to do that. When Mike Pence agreed to no such thing. And that following morning, on January 6th, was when Mike Pence put out a lengthy statement saying Donald Trump's full of shit. I never agreed to this. I don't have the power to do this. I'm not going to do it. Well, today, for context, Donald Trump has centered his campaign on winning the votes of men. He has abdicated the votes of women. He knows that he's not going to get... He's down by 20 or 25 points among women. So he's got to get men. And he's focusing heavily on young men under 30, specifically young white men under 30, which is why he's been going on all of these bro podcasts. Well, obviously the holy grail of those podcasts is the Joe Rogan podcast. Joe Rogan has said repeatedly in the past that he is not a Donald Trump supporter, he is not a Donald Trump fan, and he is not going to have Donald Trump on his podcast as a guest. He has said emphatically that he will do absolutely nothing to help Donald Trump get reelected. You can bet your ass that Donald Trump's people have been working on Joe Rogan for months to try to get him to have Trump on his podcast. It's the number one podcast in the world. And it is that demographic. It is the bro down, I'm 25 and still play video games and girls don't talk to me demographic. And well, in an interview today, Donald Trump just announced that he's going to be on Joe Rogan's podcast. Which tells me that, again, Joe Rogan's people have told Donald Trump's people, again, no, we're not having Donald Trump on. And so Donald Trump just said, fuck it, and announced that he's going to be on Joe Rogan's podcast, which is going to put Joe Rogan in the position of saying, I never said that. I never said I was going to have him on. And I'm going to tell you what, man. Joe Rogan's a potato. But he's not going to have any difficulty or any problem whatsoever saying, fuck Donald Trump. I never told that fucking asshole he was going to be on my podcast. If what I think happened actually happened, Joe Rogan's going to fucking light him up. So we'll see what happens in his next episode.